everybody, I'm Laura Trump coming to you from Studio 45 at Trump Tower in New York City. The Democrats are at it again. When the president calls them out for the poverty and filth in the urban neighborhoods they represent, they don't argue about the facts, they just cry racism. Joining me today is the president's outside advisor on urban revitalization, Pastor Darrell Scott. All right, Pastor Scott, we always appreciate you coming on. Let's talk about what's been going on. Following President Trump's criticism of Congressman Elijah Cummings of Baltimore, doesn't it seem like every time the Democrats are losing an argument, they now resort to all they have, the only thing that they can think of, which we all know is false, claims of racism against the president?
And you know what, Laura, first of all, thanks for having me on again. It's always good to come on. That race card is getting as worn out as a deck of cards in the penitentiary. When you think about it, they cannot engage the president on matters of policy. And so they deflect. They were all, the Mueller investigation turned out to be a dud. The Russian collusion narrative is a dud. Impeachment is not going to happen. Obstruction is not picking up any traction. All they have left is the race card. And anytime the president says anything that is concerning the African-American community, no matter what he says, they try to interpret it as a racist in order to deflect from the reality of what he said. And what he said was an absolute truth. Listen, it's a rat-infested, there are rat-infested, dilapidated areas of town that are unfit for human habitation. Yeah. That is the truth. And rather than reply to that and say, well, yes, it is, we got to get it cleaned up or whatever, they try to deflect by saying, oh, you're a racist for saying that.
Yeah, of course. Well, that's exactly the place they go to on everything these days. And I think shockingly, probably to the Democrats, to the media, many of these people have come out and supported the president, the people that live in Baltimore, the people that live in some of these communities that he referenced. The president actually talked about the support that he's received for speaking up for these urban areas. Take a look at this.
The White House and myself and letters and emails and phone calls have received more phone calls than I think on any other subject of people from Baltimore and other cities corruptly run by Democrats thanking me for getting involved. Those people are living in hell in Baltimore. They're largely African American. You have a large African American population, and they really appreciate what I'm doing, and they've let me know it. They really appreciate it.
So, Pastor Scott, are we to believe that Democrats are actually defending their stewardship of these forgotten, blighted communities?
I mean, it's really a shame that they want to oppose this administration so much that they don't want to give the president any type of credit for his positive accomplishments. You notice something, Laura? Not one person. They haven't produced one person that is a resident of those communities that the president talked about, or even in proximity to it, that have come out and said, oh no, he's wrong. These areas aren't bad. These are good areas. We like it here. You don't see that. The only ones trying to defend those areas are people that maybe lived there decades ago or don't live there now. But the people who are there, they're glad the president spoke up. They're glad he says they've been waiting for somebody to say something about these horrible conditions. They're watching. These depressed conditions are contributing to an overall mindset that is actually sick of the Democratic Party. And they embrace the president's positions. They embrace the president's initiatives, the legislation that he has passed in order to bring revitalization and renovation to these communities. They're glad about it. But the Democrats want to suppress those voices and just have those that are elitist or those that are outside of those communities to speak up on their behalf. If they could produce one person from that community to refute anything the president said, believe me, they would have done that by now.
Yeah, that's a great point. Nobody actually has pointed that out, but that is a great point. And I mean, I think that ultimately actions will speak louder than words. Aren't the president's policies, Pastor Scott, such as the First Step Act and opportunity zones, real game changers for America's inner cities?
Yes, they are. And the reason they're not being addressed by the Democrats is because they're undeniable. These are irrefutable, demonstrable achievements that this president has accomplished. And so they can't deny them, so they try to ignore them. But what the Democrats don't realize is this, Laura, and you know this as well. You don't make your light shine brighter by trying to put out somebody else's light. All you do is create more darkness. And so the Democrats are endeavoring to create darkness in this country by putting out the light that this president has shined, but they can't do it. He's done some things that you can't deny. Listen, I'm a part of the Black community. I still have my ear to the ground. And in fact, even on last night, we talked to a guy who had previously, you know what he said? He said, I'm watching the wrong news. He called himself a victim. He said, I'm a victim of fake news because you're saying, you're right, the president has done that. And they didn't want me to look at it, but he has done criminal justice reform. He is doing sentencing reduction. He has created these opportunity zones so that our communities can be revitalized and rebuilt. He's doing so many things for the African-American community that no president in my lifetime has done.
Yeah, well, listen, I love hearing things like what you just said, because I think the reality is no matter your gender, no matter your race, no matter your religion, people around this country are waking up and they're seeing what has happened, that the wool has been pulled over their eyes for too long, that the Democrats have taken their vote for granted and done nothing for them. Whether you live in an inner city community or whether you live in very rural parts of America, this president is working hard for you. And I think people are waking up every day and finding that out. And I think, Pastor Scott, I don't know about you, I think this president is going to get more of the Black vote than any Republican president in history in the upcoming election. I think more people overall are going to come out and vote for Donald Trump in 2020.
You're absolutely right. I know the Black community, they're not embracing this racist rhetoric. You'll have those that are staunch enemies of the president that try to promulgate or promote that false narrative. But the man on the street knows. I talk to them. Engage with them. And, you know, if you don't believe in a person for the words they speak, believe in them for the works they do. And this president has done so many great works for our community. I said it before, I'll say it again. He's been the most proactive president for the Black community in America in my lifetime. He's done more than any president that I've ever lived under. And it's true. And the man on the street knows this.
Yeah.
Construction worker that told me ever since President Trump got in office, I can't handle all the work I get. Incomes are up, jobs are plentiful. Incarcerated loved ones are being released, those that have been incarcerated for nonviolent crimes. You know, he's overturned that Clinton crime bill that disproportionately incarcerated African Americans. They're talking about children being separated at the border. Let me tell you something. More Black children have been separated from their parents under that Clinton crime bill than the border will ever separate. I know scores of them that have been separated from parents. Now, families are being reunited because the president has, and your brother-in-law, Jared, have initiated this First Step Act. And let me tell you something. There's a good feeling about President Trump in the Black community because we understand what real racism is, and we know when somebody is trying to twist words to make it mean something that it doesn't. And so we're not paying any attention to that Democratic nonsense. That's why the ratings are so low on those debates. Let me share this real quick. I was at my grandson's basketball game this past Saturday, and the phone rang during the game, and I started not to answer it, but I saw it was from Washington, D.C. I said, who is this? I answered the phone. It's the president. Just calling me, hey man, how you doing? How you been? How's things going along? Just asking me how I was doing and everything. And you know what I did? I had some people around me. I put him on speakerphone.
Oh, I love it.
Blown away.
Yeah.
He was talking about sports. He was talking about basketball. Then we talked about a lot of ways that he could help the Black community. He talked about what he's trying to do to help get A$AP Rocky released from Sweden.
Right.
And they were blown away. They couldn't believe it. It's a Saturday afternoon. And the president called just to see how I was doing. But he wanted to check on the community as well. How's the people on the street? What are they saying out there? Are they excited about the opportunity zones? What do they think about criminal justice reform? He's genuinely interested, and he wants to do good by our community, and he's doing good by our community.
I love that. Just when you think he can't surprise you anymore, he calls you on a Saturday at your grandson's basketball game. I love it. I think it's fantastic. But that's the kind of guy he is. He'll always do stuff like that. Pastor Scott, as always, we love having you on. Thank you for everything you do. You have been so great. I know the president loves you, loves working with you, and thank you for everything you do for this country every day.
Thanks, Lord. God bless you.
As the president says, we all bleed the same red blood of patriots. That's why he'll keep fighting to improve life for the forgotten men and women in every neighborhood and every community throughout America. That's the real news for today. I'm Laura Trump from Studio 45 at Trump Tower in New York City. Thanks for joining us, everybody.